What is up, Packers fans? Welcome back to the Daily Draft. I'm your host and the publisher of Pack Report, Ross Uglem, and we are brought to you today, as we are always, by Brewski Light Lager from Badger State Brewing in beautiful Green Bay, Wisconsin. And today, even with the signing of Nate Hobbs, we are discussing Florida State cornerback Azareye'h Thomas. I'm going to go with Azareye'h. I think it's right. I'm not 100% sure. I go with AZ Thomas. I call him AZ Thomas. That's it's easier to make sure I don't butcher his first name, but it is the cornerback from Florida State. Very, very Packersy, and we'll get into it, right? So strengths or pros. Pros, I guess, are what we've been using here on the daily draft here on the prospect primers. Thomas will not turn 21 until just before his first NFL training camp. So his best football should be ahead of him. He has runway, as they say. He also has ideal size for the position at just a shade under 6'2" and 197 pounds, but he moves like a smaller corner. And I don't have some of the concerns that I would have about a lot of corners, his size and their ability to kind of move side to side. There's some concerns, I guess, or I'd have a higher grade on him, but not a completely and totally linear athlete. Okay, again, great frame, strong, thick for a younger player. When we say that he's not going to turn 21 until the summer, you would assume that he'd be kind of a slender guy, right? Most 20-year-olds are not NFL ready, or not, filled out into their frame. This is a thick corner. Azareye'h Thomas is a bigger dude, especially for being as frankly young as he is, and he plays a physical brand of football. Not only in pass defense, but against the run. He's a physical player, a player that Florida State used early and often in his career. Obviously, or he wouldn't have been out here for early entry. He plays the ball well in the air, in contested catch situations, does a good enough job of winning that battle with the wide receiver. He also, I think, does a pretty good job playing through the hands. We're talking about like a quick slant, talking about in the red zone area, talking about just when he arrives at the same time as the football, he'll do a good enough job to make sure that pass is not complete. He's a fluid athlete. I see fluidity, which is what I'm always looking for in taller corners. Taller corners worry me if you're not going to just play quarters or thirds. If they're rigid or even just linear athletes, really explosive athletes in a straight line, that's not always the best for corners. Because guess what? Receivers change directions when they run routes. It's a problem, and then you have to go chase them. And that's why I do like the fluidity that I see from AZ Thomas, especially when you consider that he is a taller player. He gave up very little to opposing receivers, and that's the thing, right? Like some guys, I get it. A lot of scouts and frankly NFL teams and guys certainly get paid on turnover production. If you were going to ask me, and look, the best corners, but and I mean like the best corners can both prevent the other player from succeeding and take away the football. But if you just, nailed me down and said, okay, what do you want from a corner? Do you want him to take the ball away, or do you want him to stop the other wide receiver? I'm picking stop the other wide receiver every time. I'm saying if I could have one thing, and AZ Thomas might not even be this one thing, but if I can have a cornerback line up across from a Justin Jefferson, or across from a DJ Moore, or across from an across from an Amon-Ra St. Brown, and hold them to 3 catches for 39 yards, I'm going to take that guy over the guy that gets me 6 or 7 picks in a season, but allows a bunch of stuff, right? Give me the shutdown guy. Right now, I would say AZ Thomas was that, at least this past season. 50.2 passer rating against when targeted. Very, very impressive to me. And I think he's an above average tackler. Especially for the cornerback position. I would say AZ Thomas tackles like a safety, which would be, frankly, the highest of compliments. Folks, buy the Green Bay Draft Guide powered by Packer Report. Use promo code DAILY for $1 off. Going to be the best $10 you spend heading up to the draft in Green Bay this year. You're going to get a 7-round Packer mock draft. You're going to get 225 or more player profiles. You're going to get Jacob Morley's Packers tiers system, which really do a great job of narrowing down the guys you need to watch. And you're going to get a whole bunch of content from yours truly, Ross Uglem. Plus, it's a great way to kind of say that you appreciate everything we do here at the Daily Draft, or everything that me and the Jacobs do on social media. It is an awesome, awesome way to support us. Weaknesses, cons, if you will. At this point, I think Thomas is more of a projection than he is a finished product. At no point in his career was he all ACC, and he was certainly light on ball production, right? That's what we're talking about. He's more taking away the other receiver than taking away the football. You're talking about a guy with two interceptions and 1 forced fumble. That's it. He was also occasionally problematic in run defense, not necessarily in tackling, but in pursuit angles. He would occasionally take bad angles to the ball carrier, and he would allow big plays around the corner because he's trying to make a play too far upfield. Some of that, though, could just be inexperience, but that will drive Jeff Hafley nuts if we're going to start talking about Packers fit, which we will in a second. I think right now he is a better press corner in theory than in practice, occasionally whiffing with his punch and spending the rest of that rep then trying to recover. And I will say once again, ball skills do leave something to be desired. He is not as productive in the turnover game, or really even the deflection game, as you would want. Guys, head over to Badger State Brewing starting on April 22nd through the 27th. Really, really fun stuff going on during draft week. They're going to have an old-fashioned station, which hats off to them because they don't even make that kind of liquor. They're going to have an old-fashioned station. They're going to have food trucks. They're going to have live music. They are going to have all of the best beer from all over Wisconsin, including some of their own, which is absolutely tremendous. Go get you a game day IPA. Go get you a brewski. Go over to Badger State Brewing during the draft. It is going to be one hell of a time. Okay, fit with the Packers. I think he could make plenty of sense for Green Bay as a developmental project. And actually, this says if they're able to pair him with a free agency signing at the cornerback position. They made a free agency signing at the cornerback position. This is perfect. Nate Hobbs can step right into the lineup, and Azareye'h Thomas can wait. If they're going to roll with Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine, or if somebody gets hurt, then maybe he can go in. But I think he would be an awesome, toolsy guy for Jeff Hafley to get his hands on. Hafley, of course, one of the better defensive backs coach in the world. He is tall enough and heavy enough to hit Green Bay's marks at the position. But right now we don't know any of the rest of his testing. So it's hard to talk about the tiers, how many tests he's passed. We don't know the agilities. We don't know much of anything. Guys, thank you so much. If you are listening or watching, if you're on the YouTube side listening, of course, if you are on the podcast side, please buy the draft guide. You should have a promo code daily. There should be a link right down below. Do everything you're supposed to do here. Like, subscribe, click the bell, get the notification so that you can get every ounce of Packers content that you require on a daily basis. And by God, drink Badger State beer. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and go Pack, go.